Sounded good to me.
Amen.
Praise the Lord. Hey, anybody got guts enough to get up here and do it? Sounds good to me. Amen. I'm telling you. I'm supposed to have one ready before the end of the month, and at the end of the month, I still ain't ready. I know I'm going to be in trouble with this game. I'm treading on dangerous ground now with her, so, but I'll get one ready pretty quick. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13. I just told her I'm just ready. I can mumble my way through, but I'm not a singer, and I do the best I can. I don't try to sing very much. I'm a preacher, not a singer. I always kind of try to hold to the thing of I don't like preaching singers or singing preachers. Amen. You're going to preach, you're going to sing. Preaching, singing, and singing preachers. Okay. The parable of the wheat and tares. Chapter 13, verse 24. Father, need your help now, God. Lord, leave us your message. Father, I ask you to help me follow very closely what God you lead me to say, that I not say things outside of what you'd have me to say, but have courage enough, Lord, to say the things I need to. God, and that all honors you, and we'll praise you for that. Let us see folks saved. Let us see your people drawn closer to you. In Christ's name, amen. Parable of the wheat and the tares. Verse 24, the Bible says, another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came, sowed the tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up, brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came, said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, an enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say unto the reapers, gather ye together first. Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles, and burn them. But gather up the wheat into my barn. Now the answer to this parable, if you look right over into verse 36. Verse 36, it said, then Jesus sent the multitude away and went to the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. And he answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the seed, and the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. And therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all the things that offend them, which do iniquity, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ear to hear, let him hear. You see, the wheat and the tares. Talking about comparing it to, not necessarily staying directly with context, but using it as an example of what happens in the Lord's church. Because his explanation of the parable is, like I said, it kind of leads the way to first the rapture of the church, and then the white throne judgment and all. We don't get into that part of it contextually. That's the way it is. But just talking about this from the perspective or place that the church that God calls, those that are saved, those that are truly saved and assembled by God into the church, or what makes up the church, a house full of believers. I probably Christ would honor the idea of, as well as the wheat that is gathered in to the fold of God, there also springs up tares. There springs up people that constantly try to go against the purpose of God. Let's say it like that, the purpose of God. The purpose of the tares is for the tares themselves. They want their own way. They want to grow to full maturity. They want to suck every mineral out of the oil or out of the soil that they can. They want to reach maturity. They want to have a full and abundant life, and not even understanding perhaps what that life is. But a lot of times they sow themselves in among the people of God. Oftentimes they come in certainly unawares to those that are gathered in God's name and are there truly for the purpose of God. And oftentimes I think tares sometimes are even convinced of the devil, convinced of themselves, or convinced in some way that they're really there for the right reason. I believe that if they were in that condition, I believe God would show them that and rescue them. But there are tares in every church I've ever been in my life. You could tell the wheat from the tares. You could see the one that was constantly bickering and gossiping and always carrying something on all the time, in judging other people or trying to accomplish or manipulate other people by things that they say, things that they do, and try to get their way. And I think this is what we'll use this for today, and the purpose that the scriptures are written here. Jesus, the people said, Lord, wait a minute now. Didn't you sow all this? Didn't you put good seed down? Didn't you put the good seed down? And he said, sure, I put the good seed down, but tares are going to come up. I've never seen a field yet, regardless of how great the pesticide is or the herbicide is to counteract the weeds. You're going to have some weeds in most any field. You're going to have some weeds. You're going to have some tares come up. And that's not any different in when you gather people together. People are people, and I guess probably the hardest thing about the church is it's full of people. And all got our own ideas, and we have our own way of doing things and our own opinions about how this should be done or that should be done. But I want to warn you, as a wheat, as a true member of the fold of God, of the field of God, we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful with each other. Sometimes there is a wheat growing very close to a tare, and maybe it's not getting the full mineral content of the soil that it should be. And there's some power and strength to produce drawn off of it, pulled off of it, siphoned off of it by the tares that surround it. So we have to be very careful, and we have to understand that even though the seeds were planted at the same hour, there's different levels of maturity. I planted 3 seeds in one bed, say playing cucumbers or squash or whatever, one to push, one to pull, and one to come up. So I planted 3 in a hill, and oftentimes one will come up. 2 days later, another one will break through the ground, and maybe another day or 2 later, then they all 3 start striving for the best place. So you have to understand that in sowing the field, in putting together the church. The God has infinite wisdom in how He does it. There are those that haven't reached the place that you have yet. They're headed that way. They will be a full-grown wheat eventually, but they may be lagging a little behind. And then you pour into them the ability for the tear to draw off of them and stunt their growth. I've seen some of them even out of the three, one of them turn yellow and die, and it not even make it to maturity. So that I'm not trying to complicate it, but I do want to take away of just exactly how simple that it's mentioned in here, because there is different degrees of people and their maturity and where they're at with God. And you know what? There's sometimes that a tear maybe get a little ahead of the wheat, and it casts a shadow over the wheat, that it doesn't have the sunshine and it doesn't have the light that it's supposed to have. And oftentimes, if you don't have the right sun, the tear can be stunted. The tear can be held back in its growth. So we have to remember that. And then I want to tell you, there is a shadow cast a lot of times over the wheat from the trials of this world. You know what? We have to and I know we as Christians are not supposed to wear our feelings on our sleeves and be so easily offended and all that. And I understand that, and that's a great stance to take, and you should take that. But I'm telling you, that's a hard road to hoe all the time. And keep yourself, guarded against every harsh word or harsh way that someone comes in. That's hard to protect sometimes against that. And sometimes I'm just having a real bad day, and that wouldn't be the good day to pour some kind of, snide remark on me or something like that, because I might take it wrong. You know what I'm saying? I can take it wrong and be so hurt when you had no intention of hurting my feelings or doing anything like it. But it's happened. It certainly happened to me. And that's what happens in the field. When you have tares and wheat mingled together. And just because somebody, failed and maybe did say something to you in the past or whatever, you don't necessarily have to think that they intended to do that. I've heard people say, and I'm probably the world's worst at it, because I'm me. Got that Clark thing going on. And I'll hurt somebody's feelings. I'm not intentionally doing it bad to me, but I've done it. I've done it and hurt somebody's feelings really bad. I had no intention of doing that. So what I'm trying to point out to you is that we have to understand not only necessarily the tares that offend us, sometimes even our brothers and sisters in Christ that may not be on their game that day could do that. Often that it happens, But we as God's people have to remember the overall picture, and you look at the field, and a lot of times you can't even see the tares in there. Sometimes it looks so good, and it just lays down in the wind and flows and does just like God intends for it to do. And then all of a sudden, when the wind is really laying it down, and then all of a sudden tares start springing up, and you go like, I didn't know they were in there. I didn't know they were in there. Well, I assure you, there's always a few in every field. So I want to remind you that Jesus said, I did sow good seeds, and the wheat has come up as I intended, but I know there's tares in there. And then we have to look and say, well, how do you handle that? Do you throw every tare out? Nah, that's not going to work. Because in pulling up the tares and getting rid of them, you uproot some wheat. You pull up more dirt than you wanted to, or their roots are so entangled with each other that you pull up more than you should have. And you do more damage by pulling the tares than you do to just let them alone, let them grow into harvest, and then we'll remove them. And that's what Jesus said. The people, you want us to go yank them up? You want us to go get the tares out? You want us to pull up all the tares out of the field? And he said, no. Because like I said, if you did, you're liable to tear up the wheat and it not be able to produce. So let's leave the tares alone. What I want you to understand is, as the field of God, as us being represented here as the wheat, that we need to remind ourselves constantly that there are tares among us. And like I said, everybody that fails or stumbles or makes a bad judgment or something, that doesn't mean they're a tare. That means they're human, you know. And that doesn't necessarily mean they intentionally try to do that, but it does happen. And we have to constantly be aware of that we're not, you know, living in a bubble. There are people and things that will offend us from time to time. But we have to move forward as God's people, because if we don't, we just become subject to the care. See, and we get nothing done. And we spend all of our time worried about them. So Jesus said, look, here's my best suggestion on that, or best advice. Just let them alone. Just let it go. Let them grow. That you know, it'll all come out in the end. When we do the harvest, I'll first send in the reapers and, you know, tell them to jerk up the tares, bundle them and set them on fire, cast them in the hell where they belong, and then I'll gather the wheat and we'll have a great harvest. I believe that's what God wants us to remember, that there is coming a day that, you know, that we won't be plagued by tares. We won't be plagued by people that are out to hinder the work of God. And like I said earlier, I don't believe everybody that hinders the work of God has that in their heart to do that. It just happens sometimes. So what I ask you to do is understand and being the wheat that God called you to be, that you have an effect on every life around you. You know, you can bring forth and help in bringing forth a great harvest, or you can help and hinder in bringing forth a terrible harvest and God's purpose not be fulfilled. And that's always on the line. That's always out there. I don't care. As many different people as you have that many different personalities. You have that many different ways of receiving something in. You heard them say this. I heard them say the same thing, but I don't think I heard them say what you thought they said. Even though I heard them say the exact same words you heard them say. But it didn't mean the same thing to me as it did to you. Or it may not have been as much to you as it did to me. And I got something completely different out of it than what you did. So and if it is that easily misconstrued or misinterpreted, if it's that easy, then we have to understand then how important it is. Because you can see it's that easy. You can line up 5 people, take them out of here, one at a time, go tell them something, bring all 5 of them back, and all 5 of them get the story messed up. It won't stay the same. Ask them tomorrow. It'll be a totally different story. It'll be using different names. It'll be used in different places. It's amazing to me, but that's the way we are as people. So we are a fallen race. We are people that make mistakes. We are people that speak when oftentimes we should not say anything, but we do. He said the tares are in there. Leave those alone. They'll both grow together until harvest. The time of harvest, I'll say the reapers, gather together first the tares, bind them in bundles, and we'll burn them, and we'll gather the wheat and put it in my barn. And the disciples come to him, and it just blows their mind. They don't understand this parable at all, which I would say certainly, I believe every one of us that has any spiritual depth to us at all in the room has already understood what the parable means. But the disciples stepped back and said, Lord, what in the world are you talking about? What are you talking about? And Jesus sent away the multitude and went to the house. The disciples came to him and said, declare to us the parable of the tares and the field. And Jesus answered and said to them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers of the angels. In other words, Jesus is saying, as the Son of Man went along, casting out, broadcasting the seeds everywhere, he had a devil right behind him, putting his seeds in there as well. And every time you gather a mass of people together, that both seeds have been sown. Both seeds have been sown. Because the devil doesn't the devil's not going to let this church prosper, move forward, do good for God, fulfill God's purpose and all that, and not pay any attention to it at all. He's just not going to let that happen. He's going to do everything he can do to hinder the work of God, whether it's in the Sunday school or in the choir or in the morning music or in the preaching or in the praying or in the business meeting or the deacon meeting or whatever. He's going to sow some tares everywhere he can. He's not going to miss an opportunity to have somebody misunderstood. He's not going to miss opportunity to have someone offended. He's not going to do it. If there's even a slim chance that he can throw a tare in there, he's going to, because he stands ready always to make sure that happens. As the Holy Spirit gathers with us and makes sure to hit every point that God makes, the devil also gathers. Listen to me. The devil goes to church every Sunday. He's probably better church material than you are as far as attendance, and he's got a stellar record. He doesn't miss Sunday school. He never missed Sunday school. We'd have to give him a plaque every time because he's going to show up. He's here before church starts. Good. Before we turn the heaters on Sunday morning together, the devil's already got here, and he's ready. So he's looking for an opportunity to trip somebody up, to hinder somebody, to make the service not go as well as God intended. And especially when he sees, listen to me, when the devil sees lost people get out of their car, well, the hackles rise up on his neck. And he gets all up into it. And he starts following them to make sure if there's a possibility that they get offended that it happens. He wants to make sure of that. Even from the greeter all the way to when I shake their hands and they leave. All the way through that process, he's going to follow that first-time visitor, that one that hadn't been here before. He's going to follow them, and he's going to put everything in their path that he can, and every person that he can. And especially then, if he finds somebody amongst God's people that has got up on the wrong side of the bed that Sunday morning, is already bristled up and mad, he'll make sure that he takes that new believer or that person that's having that bad day, and he'll make sure that they line up with each other and bump noses to see if he can get something to happen. See if he can get somebody offended or something. It's just a job he does. He's good at it. But he makes sure you bump noses with that one that's already mad from the house. They fell out of the bed. Wife burnt the toast, spilled the coffee, wrecked the car. Whole thing's going on. And here we go to church. And we fight all the way there till we pull up in the driveway, and then all of a sudden we become this super spiritual Christian. We fought like cats and dogs all the way there. And we try to poke it all in and, take all the shuffles out and try to get straightened out and go into church. And how you doing, brother? Good to see you, my friend. I've been praying for you and all that, that same old jargon we always use every Sunday morning. And, instead of lying through your teeth, and you grit your teeth there and you really ought to try to, straighten your face out a little bit before you try to come across those. But it happens. But like I said, and the devil's going to see to it. And until Jesus comes, until we have the kingdom age, it's always going to be that way. But listen, we're to glorify God in everything we do. The only thing we can do about it is to see to it that we hold the line on our responsibility. On our responsibility. When someone does something that hurts my feelings or comes across the wrong way or approaches me the wrong way, I should be spiritual enough to immediately recognize, I could let the devil use this thing. I could let the devil use this if I will. And it hurt me. So I'm not setting myself up for that. I'm not going for that. Because that's not why I came to church this morning, to get offended, get my feelings hurt, or get put out, or whatever, get put off with somebody. That's not why I came this morning. I came to glorify God. And I come to reconnect with God's people and being lifted up and encouraged and worship. And then from worship to the Word and the washing and go home, sit on fire and strengthened by the Word. That's what I came for. So I can't let myself get misguided to the left or to the right. But when I start hearing negative things immediately, I just go ahead and say, Lord, you're going to have to watch me today. Because there's so many things coming to me that's negative. Lord, I'm already hurt and I ain't even got inside the building yet. Amen. So God may, please also take those away to do it. But not only that, strengthen me that I not be offended so easily. That I not be put off so easily. I get my feelings hurt. I'll just be honest with you. I get my feelings hurt every service. I don't remember, doesn't want to come to mind that I could say we had a service and, I don't think I got my feelings hurt today. I don't think I've ever came here and that happened totally through the whole day. I'll go home whining to Teresa and she'll go like, what? That's not what they meant. That's not what they said. Do you really think that's what they think? She does it all. Am I right? Am I right? You tell you the truth. I do it all the time. Why? Because it matters to me. And I do her the same way when somebody offends her or hurts her feelings. I try to, explain to her, wait. I don't think that's what they were doing. Oh, yes, it was. Amen. I can tell him, yeah, no. I said, calm down. Rethink the thing. Don't let the devil have the advantage. She does the same thing to me, like I said. Hey, but why? Because we base our relationship with each other and as a church and how good a job we do it for the people and for God and all that, it comes into play. It comes into play. Now, the only thing about me is, see, I have to get on the firing line and shoot at people and hope they don't get mad at me. I mean, you can't go, and you be the pastor, the preacher, the word's going to hit between the eye, and you get the guy that's shooting at you. Everybody's going to get mad somehow. Some way, And this is the thing about it. I can't let that have any effect on me at all. Amen. It does have an effect on me. But I can't allow that to rule me. I have to just take it and move on and go on. And I mean, I have to preach nearly 30 years now. I still argue with God. I'm going to say, God, are you sure that that's what you want me to say? God, is that really the scriptures you want me to use? Is that, Lord, can I do something else? I got a good sermon. It's funny. Man, everybody leaves laughing and everybody just be happy. Can I preach that? And he said, no. Shucks. You want me to preach that? Yeah. I said, okay, Lord, I'm doing it, but I hope you know what you're doing. And he does, every time. He knows what he's doing. Even with me. And looking at them, preparing and getting ready, I had to go through the meal first, and then come out here and share what he has for me. So I want to find a place to close now. In verse 36, like I said, continuing on, the fields of the world, the wicked one, the seed is sown in by the wicked one, the enemy that sows them is the devil, the harvest of the end of the world, the reaper of the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. That's the final judgment. The white throne. And the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all the things of sin, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth, and we know that into the lake of fire. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ear to hear, let him hear. In other words, don't be so dismayed. Don't be so put off. Don't be so emotional about when this happens. It happens every Sunday to somebody. You may not witness it. They may never say anything. And you may never know it. But I guarantee you, if you've done a survey on everybody that was here, and you just left blessed, just blessed, you find somebody that's going out that door mad as a wet set hen, put off, feelings hurt, teary-eyed, and you're going like, oh, what happened? What happened? That's the best service I've ever been in. Not me. What happened? Got hurt, got offended, somebody done something. I guarantee you every service we've ever had, if you run a survey on everybody that comes out the door, there'd be a different opinion about what it was. Sometimes I get phone calls right after service thanking me for the service. Sometimes I get the other calls. That ain't thing. Just leave it there. That ain't thing. But that's fine. That's fine. I don't mind hearing. I love to hear the ones that's thanking me and telling me how good a job I'm doing, and the other ones, I love to hear them. But hey, I'd rather hear them than you go tell somebody else. Or you complain about me to somebody else. I'd rather you go